Hello, Rotarians, and welcome to our Thursday, February 25th meeting. Stand and we will have Mary come up and do the pledge and the four-way test. Oh, forgot to get it out again. Hope you have it memorized, the four-way test.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Of the things we think, say and do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it bring goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Nice job. That is impressive. All right, and our inspiration today is from Connie. So you come back there. She's getting our host, our guest speaker situated, but do you have an inspiration today?
Oh, I do.
Okay, I know you do. I know. You look like me when I first get here every day and just kind of run around circles. I know.
There's good. All right. So I thought it would be appropriate to give you some inspiration today from the Bard. I've gone to many plays in Ashland and other places where I've seen his different work. So the above all, to thine own self be true. Hamlet. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Measure for measure. If I be waspish, best beware of my sting, as you like it. And this is a good one. Do you know I am a woman? When I think I must speak. As you like it. Good company, good wine, welcome can make good people, and thank you all for being here. All right.
Thank you, Connie. All right, so today, Connie is our greeter. Do we have any more cards? Lots of cards, so start digging.
Like to run.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So, lots of cards out there, so dig in your wallets for those dollar bills. And then we do have some guests. I think most of us know several of them, but I will let Bev introduce her guest. We're always happy to see.
My guest is Chris, my son.
And of course, Tommy, you're on again.
Okay, well, my guest is Wade Drake, and he's the director coordinator of Performing Arts Center. Hi. And then there's Jennfier and Fernando.
Okay. All right, great. And they're here to speak with us today. And I'm actually going to jump ahead because this is kind of cool. I have first of all, in my announcements, I'm going to jump ahead to the Rotary event that's going on. So this is the time if you have friends who you think might want to just try Rotary and come to a meeting, you can invite them to come to a meeting and have lunch and enjoy the program. When we're having our event, which is on Sunday, we are having a Rotary event, which is our Walk for Peace. And so we will have information on Rotary. Make sure you have that at the booth so somebody can also sign up to win prizes at that event. And I just found out today what the prizes were, and it's 2 tickets to the Shakespeare Festival. Yes. Or the Senator Music Festival, you get a choice. And with both of those, you will also get lodging and dinner somewhere in that town. So those are the prizes for the people who will be, and there's lots of gift cards they'll also be giving out. So if you have anybody who would like to try Rotary or just come to an event anytime between now and the end of April, they can come to any of those. I have the information on how to, it's rotarydistrict5110.com/try-Rotary. So you just have to go to the website, which is rotarydistrict5110.com rotary.com, and then they'll have a try Rotary, and it has a little video. It's a YouTube video that they can watch, and then there's a way to enter in. You can get in twice. I left our friend out in the car. I knew I forget, but our little buddy Yoda, who I will run out and get. If you get a picture taken with him, you can get a second entry by putting it out, and I don't ever do this at posting it online and put hashtag dot try Rotary. Anyway, just something that in the future we can do, but I will get that information to you, Jamie, for that. We did order t-shirts, so our t-shirts come in. And yes, they are bright, but the reason for this is if we're ever out, we did never have to wear those funky pennies anymore. Because we are bright green, the same color as it on the back. It has Rotarians at work, so people can see when we are out cleaning, when we are out doing whatever we may doing. I'm gonna wear mine when I volunteer to do more signups for Porch Fest. So they're in a box in the back, they're $15, and if you, people who've ordered them, if you just check off your name and put paid next to your name, and there's an envelope to put the $15, and it says Road Gateway Rotary. So that's the ad. It has our club on the front and on the back, Rotarians at work. So there we go. We did get them. The Porch Fest to sign up for, the second sign up is Tuesday, March 10th. It takes about 1.5 hours to go with hopefully a buddy of some sort. We're gonna try to have people who've gone before and who haven't gone, so that people who haven't gone get the experience with somebody who's done it before. But we're gonna ask that new people sign up. So we're gonna get as many people as possible to just come and give us an hour and a half, either Tuesday evening, March 10th, or Saturday. And I'm not sure exactly the time, but it's March 15th. So Danielle, I'm gonna give this to you to kind of get and sign up. I know you went with the people on Saturday, so we got us started. There are always pins here somewhere. I don't have any. Usually there's a whole pile of them right here. But of course there's not today. So here's the pin right here, Danielle.
Thank
Mhm. So please sign up to start. We're starting the Porch Fest system, and it's important that everybody take part in that. Okay, and I think that's it. And of course, Food Bank, March 23rd is the beginning of spring break. So that Friday before that, which I think would be with the 20th or the 19th, they'll be collecting or getting money, food to kids. So we need to bring in food for kids to send home over spring break with them. Please bring into the back. And with that, I will turn this over to another announcer.
Hello, it's me, another announcer. I want to just do one last update before our Walk for Peace on Sunday. So in case you didn't see the Facebook event, we now have live music. We're gonna have Mike Smith in the morning, bringing his guitar, doing some peace songs, sing-alongs. It's gonna be very cool. In the afternoon, Kevin Widdison will be there with his guitar, playing some music for us. Our event is taking place rain or shine, and it might be a little bit rainy at some parts during the day, but we don't care because walking in the rain is really peaceful, especially in a beautiful park. But we also have a covered shelter with a ton of tables. So if you don't want to walk in the rain, just come hang out in the shelter with us. Have a hot cup of coffee, hot cup of tea, some fresh fruit. Excuse me. I posted this morning, just a reminder, we are gonna be collecting, if anybody feels so moved to make a donation. We're saying, bring a check, write it out to the RG Rotary Foundation. We're gonna take all of the money that is raised that day and make one big donation to the Rotary Foundation that will go towards peace fellowships. So if you feel so moved and want to make a donation, please bring a check with you that day. I want to thank everybody who's sharing our flyers. Tommy's putting them out everywhere. I want to thank everybody who's sharing our Facebook posts. Debbie Brownell, I don't think she misses a single one. Thank you for inviting people. It's going to be so much fun. And if you're there at the end of the day, after we're done with the event and put our stuff away, we're gonna go out together someplace where the Joseph County Food Bank Save Cheese event is happening. We're gonna go get a grilled cheese sandwich at one of the places to support the food bank, and possibly a cold beer at the end of the day as well. So let me know if you have any questions, if you need a copy of a flyer, anything else. I'll be hanging out after the meeting. Thanks.
And just so you know, I got a phone call last night, actually during the Rotary board meeting, that the Rotary poll is done. So the peace poll is done, but it's in Port Orford. And so there's chance, my husband was not really excited about going over. He can't go Friday. On Sunday, we're driving to Eugene. So if you know anybody who's going to the coast tomorrow or Saturday who might have a truck, let me know. Let me know. I'm still working on my husband, but if you know somebody going over there, it would be really nice to have it. So I'm doing the best I can. Anyway, so it is. I do have a couple pictures of it laying down. I don't have any of them standing up. He sent me a couple pictures last night. But anyway, so the peace poll is finished. It's over. Port Orford. I'm assuming that once we get it, and I don't think Cindy's on here today, but once we get it, we will have to, have them figure out how they're gonna mount it in their, at the Women's Crisis Support Center, but we will have the poll. So that is exciting. Okay, so we have one more. Jennifer's over here who just returned to us from Howells, which most of you think of as pets. So go ahead, Jennifer. That was really fun. That's a whole nother discussion. I do have an announcement. I got to have a late lunch yesterday with many of our favorites, Bobby Kidder, and she asked me to share this opportunity with you. She has a workshop coming up on March 14th. I have quite a few flyers. I'll put them at each table. It's acts of acceptance and forgiveness. And she told me to tell a little story about my Monday. I started Monday off and I kind of declared it National Grumpert Day. And I was very good naturedly grumpy all day. And every single person I ran into felt very similarly. And it was just one of those days. And so she said, please share that because that's something I think a lot of us are feeling right now. And that this is an opportunity to kind of process some of that and to deal with it in a healthy way. So as many of you know, Bobby Kidder is amazing. If you have the opportunity, I believe it qualifies for like continuing education. It's an online only event and I will leave that information. If you have any more questions, you can ask me. And then I also brought the card that I said I would bring, and I'll let you share the information. Yes, it is just totally, Pam Boston. Many of you know Pam Boston. She was a part of our club for a while. Well, her husband recently passed away. So we thought it'd be really kind of nice to get her, write a card to her and have our club sign it. And then kind of wrap our arms around her to see, because this might be a time that she might be interested in coming back. She may need some extra support. So that is the card that is being passed around. If you just want to sign it, and then we'll make sure it gets to Pam to let her know that we are supporting her through this difficult time. So that's what the card is about. I will hand it out. I will find another pen before I do that though, because it's really hard to sign things with a pen. Okay, so with that, I think our next part is Tommy is going to come up and introduce our guests. I'll give them a few minutes to finish chewing their food. That's kind of the problem. So much visiting, which is never a problem. It's wonderful to see everybody here and visiting when they get here. Then they have to eat. Now,
Okay, so we have Jennfier Ryen is here today from OSF, which is one of my favorite places to play. I bet you can guess that. At any rate, she has come back to the valley. She's been here now for a year, and she is in charge of fundraising for OSF. And certainly because of the pandemic, we need all the help we can get raising money with whatever we do. And we have Christopher. Fernando. Okay, sorry. We have Fernando here too. He used to work here, I understand. So they are gonna be our speakers. She's gonna talk about all the great stuff she's doing. And if you misplaced Shane last year, you missed a good one. That was, I think, my favorite of the ones I went to. Wade, my son is here and he went with me, so that was good. Anyway, we welcome you. We're looking forward to what you have to say.
Don't, it died, so just let me know and I'll go back.
Okay, I'll give you a little.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. As Tommy said, my name is Jennfier Ryen. I'm the Chief Philanthropy Officer at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And I've lived in the Valley for 10 years and was at OSF from 2015 to 2020. Then I had a wonderful time working for the Asante Foundation and returned to OSF last almost a year ago today. And with me today is Fernando Ramirez Barrett, who leads our corporate giving at the Shakespeare Festival and is doing great work on behalf of OSF and our community. So I'm here today mostly just to sort of, how many of you have been to OSF ever? Okay, great. How many how many of you have been in the last year? Oh, good, good. Okay, so you may know the Shakespeare Festival has been through a hard time. The last 5 years have been extremely challenging for any and all performing arts organizations, but especially for OSF. So I thought today I would just take the opportunity to sort of share with you, how is the organization doing? Where are we at? And also give you some sort of insight into this season in hopes of luring you down I-5 into Ashland. So if you go ahead. So today I'll just take some time to reflect on some key challenges and successes from the past 5 years. I'll share some of how we're looking at the lessons we've learned and give you a financial update and a look at what's ahead. And I do this to all of you in the room because I know institutions like OSF in Southern Oregon, they certainly matter if you love theater and if you care about arts education. But even if you don't, places like OSF are important to our Southern Oregon economy and to our communities here. And so I just want to bring all of you into how are we doing? What do things look like? And give you a chance to ask questions. So. All right, next slide. I too love As You Like It. And so we're quoting the Duke here. He says, "Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head." So the idea is bad things happen, and yet there's good that can come out of it. So what we really look at OSF right now is that we've had some key challenges that we need to really see with clear eyes and understand their implications. So one is leadership instability. We've had a lot of frequent leadership changes and poor strategic choices that have set us back and eroded trust in our community. We also have changing audience behavior. Theaters all over the country are seeing this. A global pandemic happens, people get out of the habit of traveling to Ashland, of coming to the theater, and they've incorporated other things into their lives. And so we have changing audience behavior as a challenge. We also know, like any of you who are in the business world or consumers, rising costs. So materials and labor, housing and transportation, those costs have risen dramatically at a time when our revenue has not. So one of the biggest things that we've really been talking about in the community is the impact of leadership and stability for OSF. So since 2019, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival has had 6 different executive directors. So at a place like OSF, we have 2 co-leaders. We have an artistic leader who really leads the artistic side of the organization. And then we have an executive leader who's really there to make sure that our functions like development and marketing and finance and HR and IT are all running really, really well to uphold the infrastructure of the organization. So if you go to the next slide, it actually gives you a really interesting picture. So I don't know how many of you know, but last year OSF celebrated our 90th anniversary season. Absolutely incredible. Angus Bomer started OSF in 1935 as a long weekend of Shakespeare plays in rotating rep with a boxing match. If you want to hear more about that story, I'm happy to share it. But you can see that for a long time, the organization really enjoyed artistic and executive leaders with long tenure. And you'll also see that we had leaders that really had overlapping. So people that had prior experience in a different role that then stepped into leadership roles. And you can sort of see in more recent years how that really changed, right? We had new people coming in that did not have prior experience at OSF. And when you have two new people coming in without that prior experience and you add on a global pandemic, it created a lot of instability and a lot of challenges at the leadership level. So what we really feel like we've learned from that is just how important succession planning is. I know this counts at every organization that matters to us. We should be pestering leaders of institutions. What are you doing for succession planning? Even if it's 10 years away, we should all be thinking about it, right? We've got to be developing future leaders. A place like OSF is really unique because we're not like any other theater in the country. So someone can come with a lot of experience at another institution, but they've never worked at a destination theater that's doing rotating repertory the way that the Oregon Shakespeare Festival is. We also know that we actually, during the really hard times, OSF, I think it over the last 5 years really pulled back and didn't communicate very well, right? And what we heard from our community and from our patrons and from our audiences was that they really wanted more transparency. They care about the institution. They want to know how it's doing. They want to know what's going well, what's not going well. And so really one of our biggest lessons learned is that transparency is really, really foundational to our work ahead. So if we look at the historical financials of OSF, you'll see it can be really easy to think that our financial problems were just the last 5 years, but actually they go back even further. As we like to say sometimes internally, theater is really a bad business. It's very expensive to produce. And so it requires a lot of discipline and expenses, and also investing resources in smart strategic ways in the areas that grow revenue. But you can see that going back into 2018 and 2019, we were seeing deficits even before the pandemic. And so really looking at how structurally as an organization, we were having a hard time making budget each year. And you'll see that in many years, we had excess endowment draws to cover our operating needs in any given fiscal year. You'll see in 2022, that was a really hard year. That was probably the lowest point for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And in fact, it came very close to shutting down. And so it was really a lot of heroic work by company, board, audiences, community members, and donors. Said, no, not on our watch. This isn't going to happen. So if we go to the next slide, you also see historically, so at an institution like OSF, we have two sources of revenue. We have earned revenue, which is our ticket sales, rental income, concessions, gift shop. And then we have contributed revenue, which is the part that I'm in charge of. And that can come from all kinds of sources, government giving, corporations, individuals, foundations, etc. Back in the heyday, even further back than this graph shows, typically OSF received 80% of its operating revenue from ticket sales. It was really remarkable. And then over time, we relied more and more on philanthropy and donations and membership. But you can see in 2022, ticket sales only covered 30% of what the festival needed to operate. And so we are building back what we think of as a healthier ratio, a healthier balance between earned and contributed revenue at the festival. You can see those numbers have climbed. When I first came to OSF in 2015, we were raising less than half of what we raise today in contributed revenue. And over time, it's become more and more crucial. for the festival's operation. Ticket sales. Pre-pandemic, at our height, we were at 21.6 million in ticket sales. At our lowest, we hit 7.1 million. That is a devastating drop in ticket sales. And we've been working, you'll see in 2023 and 2024, that marks the return of Tim Bond, our artistic director, who had a long tenure at OSF prior as an associate artistic director. And I'll have some really good numbers to share with you about 25. We get the question a lot at OSF, can you produce more economically? Yes, we can, but it's really complicated. If we cut our expenses and we cut our budget too much, we often wind up also cutting off revenue. So it's a really delicate thing to find sort of that sweet spot as an organization of where we reduce our expenses as much as possible without really shooting ourselves in the foot and cutting off potential revenue. If we only produce 5 or 6 plays in a season, that's really not enough to draw people from California and Washington and Colorado and Idaho and all over the Western United States. They really want a full rotating repertory buffet of plays to draw them to Southern Oregon. One thing we talk a lot about is, so pre-pandemic, our operational budget was at 40.3 million. That's how much it costs to produce a season. That's a big number, I know. Today, if we were doing that exact same season, it would cost us $52 million to produce. So the fact that we are now in a $43 million operating season actually demonstrates tremendous discipline and restraint. So the festival really shrunk down in a very big way, almost closed its doors with the pandemic. And as we've grown back, there's been a lot of careful discipline around how do we build back as lean as possible, not hire more people than we need. How do we do this in really smart ways so that we've actually cut a tremendous amount from our operations since pre-pandemic. You'll see at OSF, it can be easy if you come, you're like, oh my God, those costumes are gorgeous, the set is stunning, theaters, like it can feel like a lot of cost goes into how things look on stage, but in fact, labor is our biggest cost. And so that's one of our long-term challenges as an institution. I think any organization or business where that's your number one cost, you're going to have some challenges because those numbers go up over time. You'll see we used to have 650 employees at the festival pre-pandemic, and we've grown back. We're producing the same number of plays as we were, but we're doing it with fewer people. You'll see we've got about 495 employees at this time. That's part-time, full-time, contract, etc. It's also interesting, we've been looking a lot like who's coming, right? Who are the people that are coming back to the festival in recent years? Really interestingly, 48% of our attendees in 2025 were brand new. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I think it's really exciting because it's like, hey, we've got new people coming. We've got new people coming into Southern Oregon, traveling through. And so how do we get them to come back? And of course, 52% returning. Oh, you're good. This is also an interesting data point from 2025. So while we have a lot of people that are coming for the first time, the biggest part of our revenue comes from people that are seeing 3 or more shows. So we know that, people aren't coming all the way to Ashland and traveling to OSF just to see one show. Many of them are seeing 3, 4, 5, 6, even more shows. I think that this one's really interesting too. So when we look at who are these people and where are they coming from, you'll see, so the red bars there show region and where people are coming from. And then the orange sort of line graph placed on top of it shows percentage increase from prior season to 2025 from that area. So about 20% of our total audiences come from Southern Oregon. Last season, we saw a nice bump of 26% growth from Southern Oregon coming to OSF. A lot of people from the rest of Oregon, a lot of people from California, and then of course, as we start to get further east, we see fewer and fewer audiences. This is my world, mine and Fernando's. So this looks at our contributed revenue and sort of how it's broken out. So you'll see in the red there is membership. So that could be anything from $75 is our entry level membership, going up to like our show sponsors who give $25,000, $50,000 a year as part of their membership and everything in between. So that makes up a big piece of our contributed revenue. We also have individuals that just make donations. It's not a membership, it's not part of that, but maybe they say, you know what, I love your education programs, I'm gonna make a gift just for education, right? So that's in the orange there. In the yellow is foundation giving. In the green is government giving. I'm really pleased to say that, you know, our state has supported OSF in ways that were absolutely crucial. We would not have made it through the pandemic in recent years without the state's support. Last year, we received 2.5 million. We will not be getting that again. So it's not a piece of our contributed revenue pie that we can continue to count on. In the teal color there, teeny tiny sliver is corporate giving. And last year, I think we had about 7 or 8 corporate donors, and Fernando has been at the festival about 6 months, and now we're up to about 20, 18. So that is an area where we see tremendous potential. And again, it's really about how do businesses and the community come together to support an institution that really helps raise the tide for Southern Oregon in terms of visitors and tourism and restaurants and all kinds of businesses. So we're working really hard on that sliver to make it much bigger. This year, we're already at $640,000 in corporate giving, up from a total of 400 last year. And then the royal blue color is realized bequests. So that's where when people have chosen to leave OSF in their legacy plans, and those are gifts that we realized last year. And I often think, like, gosh, those people have no idea that their legacy gift was actually pivotal at a very vulnerable time for the festival as we're growing and recovering. So it's really cool. And then in the big purple, these are what we call principal gifts. These are gifts of $500,000 or more. Most of those are $1 million plus gifts. So you can,
Whoa.
without those really big gifts, we would not be able to function. So 60% of our contributed revenue comes from individuals. Right now, we are relying too heavily on these large 7-figure gifts in a way that is not sustainable over the long term. We've got to grow back our membership. This next slide will show you why. So if you look at 2019, OSF had almost 16,000 member households, and in 2025, we only had 6,500. Most of that membership loss is at the lower levels and really associated with ticket sales, right? A lot of our lower level members, it's very like, okay, I'm gonna come, I'm gonna get tickets, and if I'm a member, I get a discount, you do the math, and people join as a member because there's a lot of really good benefits. But that is just a devastating drop in membership. So we have a lot of work to do to build back membership as part of the culture of the festival and to really figure out how do we make that something that people want to be part of. Can you go back real quick? Really interesting, when you look at our member tenure chart here, look at that. almost half of our members have been members for more than 20 years. It is unbelievable. And we didn't put this chart in there, but if you looked at who is giving and who has increased and how we are sustaining ourselves, it is those loyal, longtime members. And they're doing that because they believe that we need places like OSF for the future, right? All right, you can skip this one because I know I'm coming short on time. More Shakespeare quotes. Skip that one. I kind of already spoke to all of this. You can skip. Yeah, so we are working really hard to continue our work around. We've got those big givers. We need them to keep giving. We also are working really hard on legacy giving. We have a lot of people who have a lot of affinity and dedication to OSF. And so we're really emphasizing the impact that folks can make with legacy giving. As we know, sometimes if you're like me, you can't make big gifts in your lifetime, but maybe someday part of my, leftover retirement account or part of the sale of my home could go to charity, right? And so often our legacy gift is the biggest gift we'll ever make. And so we're working with donors in that way. And we're also obviously trying to grow our membership base, and I'm really excited about the plans we have in that area. So we have some big wins from 2025. First and foremost, so we have this thing called a Net Promoter Score. Long story short, it's like -100 all the way up to +100. And it's essentially a way that we survey audiences to understand, like, would they promote us? Would they say to someone else, you should really go see her, that was really good? Go to the next slide. You'll see in 2023, that score got as low as 32. In recent years, with really strong play selection and a real attention to the quality of language and craft and artistry, that score has gone up dramatically. So people are loving the work they've seen on stage, and I hope those of you that have been recently feel that. I too was obsessed with Shane. I thought it was so good. So that has been great news. So in 2025, you remember, we got as low as 7 million in ticket sales. That was our low point. And we are now, last year, we got to 14.89 million in ticket sales. Still far below our $21 million high of ticket sales, but remarkable improvement. It was up 42% compared to the 2024 season, which was also a dramatic increase over the season before that. So really good progress there. We've also had wonderful investments made in the festival. Bertie Elliott is a longtime donor of OSF. She does not live here locally. Tim Bond, myself, and our executive director sat down with Bertie and we talked her through how are we doing, where have we been, what have we learned, what are we dedicated to going forward. And she really felt like now is the time to make a big infusion into the festival for our 2026 season. So she made a remarkable gift. And I'll share what she shared with us. She said, in the world today, it can feel really hopeless and overwhelming. There's a lot going on. And it can feel like, what do we do, right? How do we make a difference? And from her point of view, she said, I just think about, okay, what are the communities I belong to? And what can I do to make them as strong as possible? And she cares so deeply about OSF and what it offers to Southern Oregon and what it offers to our country and to families and schools and friends. And so for her, it was making a big investment, and she hopes that her gift will inspire others to think about that in their own lives and think about what can they do to make the communities they belong to stronger. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here because every time I come to a Rotary meeting, I'm like, you know what? The world's not so bad. There's a lot of people that are just constantly doing things, volunteering, thinking about how they make things better. So it really is a nice boost. So even though we've had all these amazing wins at OSF, our ticket sales are up, we're getting these big gifts in the door, we are relentlessly focused on expense management. So a big win for us is that we actually came in way under budget for the 2025 season. So we were budgeted, board approved at 45.2. We came in at 42.3 million. So really good, persistent progress. We also have reforecasted our 2026 budget. We found 1.3 million in additional cost savings for 2026. We also, even with those cost savings for 2026, we've also made investments in key staff, right? Because as you know, when you lose good people, it actually costs you way more than it does to say, you know what, you are really valuable and we need to make investments in the staff. So we were able to make some key investments across the company. We also got that state funding I told you about. And for the first time in 5 years, we now have a cash runway through September at OSF. And some of you may be like, that's horrifying. It should be longer. But there, honestly, over the last few years, there were times where it was really tense and stressful in terms of how much cash do we have? Are we going to make payroll? Right? That's the kind of serious, sobering situation the festival is in. So we are just working relentlessly to get back into a better spot. So for 2026, the season we're in now, it opens in 3 weeks. We have an operating budget of 43.4 million. Of course, we're going to try to come in under that. We hope we're going to hit 16.3 million in ticket sales. We have a big gnarly goal of 22.5 million in contributed revenue. And then we have other revenue, which again is ticket sales, concessions, etc. We're already 62% toward our goal for contributed revenue, which is really, really great. And our ticket revenue progress to goal is 43%. So this is where I get to say, you have to come and see these plays. So opening in just 3 weeks, we have Midsummer Night's Dream, one of the funniest, most magical, delightful Shakespeare plays. It'll be in the Bomer with a stunning set and original music. Also, Come From Away. If you don't know what Come From Away is, go talk to Steve Rowe. He'll give you some insight. This is a musical that is all about community and the good inside people and what can happen when we all work together to show love and kindness to people that may be strangers. So it tells the story of when planes that were grounded on 9/11 in Newfoundland, Gander, and how that community came together to feed, house, and keep safe thousands and thousands of people that were stranded in this tiny rural area of Newfoundland. It is a heartwarming, uplifting, affirming, just beautiful musical. You must come see it and tell everyone. We really consider it sort of the anchor of the season in terms of the themes that you'll see throughout the plays. We have a stunning production of Raisin in the Sun. How many of you have read that in school or seen it? Yeah. We actually have worked with the estate, and there are actually some lines from Lorraine Hansberry's original script that are being brought back into this production for the first time. It will be incredible. So those are the 3 that open us up at the start of the season. And then in April, we have You Are Cordially Invited to the End of the World. If you love new plays, maybe something with a little more edge and modern comedy, this is a story about a family grappling with grief, illness, and the implications of climate change. And then there's a whole bunch of other great plays later in the season. You can get tickets on our website. Also, if you don't get our emails, you should, because throughout the season, we do specials for those who live in Southern Oregon. So that, to my delight, this is the new priority for OSF, is like, how do we have so many people that live here that have not come to the Shakespeare Festival? And how do we make it so that people who live here feel like OSF is theirs, and that it's a place that they're welcome and wanted, and that they want to come see? So I would sign up, because you'll see some ticket specials come through. So really, I just want you all to know that there's a lot of really good people working really, really hard at OSF to take us from a moment where we have had remarkable recovery and improvement. We have hard-won lessons learned that were challenging and difficult, and we're working really hard to make sure that as we approach the organization's centennial in 9 years, that we are positioned to celebrate this incredible institution that means so much to the state of Oregon and means so much to Southern Oregon. That we are around and thriving, that we are welcoming students, that we are going out to schools and doing our education work, and that we're a place where people get to come and laugh and connect and get into discussions and think about the world in a deeper, more interesting way. So we're all working really hard to make sure that we set up OSF to be around for a very, very long time. And I hope that all of you will choose to join us. I want to leave you with a quote from our founder, Angus Bomer. He said, "We are not a museum, not an antiquarian display place. The past is certainly our nurturing source and continuing inspiration, but we are in no way bound by the past. We don't stand still. We are a living, breathing, changing, and growing theater with a future still to discover. Theater is always a living art, with open arms for the new. The legacy of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival will continue to enrich the future because our beginnings are strong, sound, and sure." So I leave you with that, and I invite you. I don't know if we have time for questions. If anyone has questions, I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you insight, and I hope it makes you feel optimistic. And I hope you will come to Ashland and see play. And I will tell you, actually, that's mine, but thank you. I don't know if I can pick it up. Anyway, thank you. I will tell you that it is actually the Shakespearean Festival that brought me to Southern Oregon. Because I was raised in Northern Oregon, and I had my best friend in college was an English major. So every summer we'd climb in our car and we slept in a rest area, just south of, Ashland, and that's what we did. We went to the Shakespeare Festival. So it is such a big part of Southern Oregon, but I cannot imagine Southern Oregon without Shakespeare. So it is behooves us all to invite more people down here. And Jamie, coming up. John, did you have something you wanted to add, or?
Yeah, Shakespeare question. Many years. Shakespeare question. Many years ago, I attended a play where I learned where slapstick came from. Where the players slapped two sticks together. It was the funniest damn thing I ever saw. No, that's why I was hoping that you say, oh, that was such and such.
I'll go back. Someone will know. And I will tell Tommy. I want you to know Tommy is.
Audience would explode and laugh.
Okay, it's me again, only this time I'm Sergeant at Arms. So, excuse me, today I'm gonna talk about advice. Every year Time Magazine puts out the best advice that they received in the past year from their readers. And some of this I don't consider advice, but I just thought they were really cool thoughts. So here's a few of them. Good conversations have lots of doorknobs. Love that. Ask yourself, what if there was no problem to solve right now? Got that one?
Yeah.
Stop trying to calm the storm, calm yourself, and the storm will pass.
Like that.
Don't make what someone told you into your narrative. Anxiety is not intuition. That's the one I have to keep telling myself. And put away your phone whenever there's a human being in front of you. Those were some of my favorites. I've asked a few of you to share some of your favorite advice with me today. If you'll head over to Tackett, but I'm going to start with myself. And about 12 or 13 years ago, Steve Rowe gave me a piece of advice. He said, I think you should join my Rotary Club. Wasn't that great advice? Okay, Tackett, Austin, what is some advice that you've received?
It was asked for one sentence. So I, much of my life, I worked in very high stress, high speed environments where if you make a mistake, it's really expensive and probably dangerous. As a perfectionist, that was rough. One of the old timers pulled me aside one day and said, you don't have to do the job. You just have to make sure the job gets done. And what that did for me was allow me to hire competent people, give clear expectations, trust them, and get out of the way. And my life has been so much nicer. I made my professional life so much better.
That's a great one. Thanks, Tackett. Gina Marie, if you head back to Steve Rowe, I'm going to step over here and hear from Luke Springer.
This
Go ahead.
this came about in 2019. My dad was in the hospital room, and it was toward the end of his life. And Christy and I were in the room, and he hadn't said anything all evening, and he says, "Be good, remember, be good." And then there was nothing. About another 5 minutes went by, and he says, "Be nice to people." And Christy said, "You gotta get some paper." So I got the paper out, and the last two, there are always people in need. The last one was tell our friends. And it wasn't very long after that, he went into a coma and never woke up.
I actually switched mine. I was going to talk about a Time magazine from 2,500 years ago when Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But since Jenny mentioned Bobby Kidder, it just really came to mind, talking with Bobby about doing presentations. She says, be good, be brief, be gone.
My boss Bob Wise adds to that, don't be boring. Go ahead, Judy.
Hi, everybody. I have 20 happy bucks, and the best advice, good advice I got from my mother when I was about 11 years old. She said, you know, Judy, you don't have to say everything that comes into your head. Now, I haven't done that well with that advice, and I appreciated the advice. And I just want to take a quick opportunity, because I've wanted to do this for a while. I have something for Jan Jones and for Gina Marie as our treasurers of our foundation and of our club. The job is much harder than you think. They get checks from like somebody named Tim Smith, and we don't have a Tim Smith, and then they're supposed to know where to put it. And then 3 weeks later, somebody bitches at them. Well, my Uncle Tim Smith sent you a check, you know. So anyway, thank you to both of you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Judy. Okay, raise your hand. Do you have a happy bug or a favorite piece of advice?
So I have a happy buck because I just got back from a fabulous trip to Morocco. And my husband Bob put it together, and one of my favorite pieces of advice from him, when we graduated from high school, I was just crying. And Bob goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "We'll never see some of these people again." And he said, "Debbie, the people you need to see, you will see, and you can let the others go."
Nice. Okay, Jenny.
My happy buck is for my Papa Chuck. You're gonna hear a lot of Papa Chuckisms in the next year. The best advice I ever received from my Papa Chuck, he's my neighborhood dad, is be careful what you get good at.
That's a good.
Gina Marie knows the answer to this one very well.
I think Jody McDonald has one.
I do. I'm really happy. I am excited. Just on Saturday of this last week,
I was sworn in as the president of the Oregon Association of Mounted Posses. So, we want to do very
Nice. John Jones has one?
Advice, this is from my father-in-law. And this is for you because you're concerned about it. Do your giving while you're living, then you're knowing where it's going. And the other is Happy Bucks on my fond memories of having been a school teacher. Set the stage and let the others play in.
Thanks, John. I think Margaret Bradford has one.
I'm a happy buck because I see Lisa Higgins up there who's been under the weather and we're just happy to see you, Lisa. And
Thank
also
you.
some advice my dad gave me when I was quite young. Don't lie. Make your life simple.
Anybody else with a happy buck or a piece of advice? Allison?
I have some happy bucks because we held our annual Youth of the Year event at Boys and Girls Club last week, and Maximilian won again. So he's heading up to state next month. But we also introduced our Hall of Fame program, and so we inducted some new members, and one of them was Mary Lou Thompson, who is my favorite, and the best advice she has ever given me is be a voice, not an echo.
Nice. Beth?
One of my favorite pieces of advice is, when somebody has a problem, to remember it's not your dog to walk. Also, happy bucks for Chris being here. And also, the sneak preview, the story about telling your story, it was very good. And, we have a thing that we're doing called Storyworth, and that you can tell your stories and they'll make a book out of it, so.
Thanks. Steve Rowe?
This is we already did an article on the sneak preview. So Curtis said the article is not gonna go until March 1st. So I put my mom's birthday present, and her birthday is Saturday, February 28th. The picture was my sister. So my sister's birthday present was the back page of the sneak preview before her birthday. I think that advice would be don't spill the beans.
All right, we're down to the wire here. Any last pieces of advice? No. Okay, make sure to put your happy bucks on the table, please, and I'm handing it back to Judy for the card draw.
Or Valerie, what did you choose? Yes, hey. Okay, you don't get to do this, Judy. I'll just say, the one thing as a teacher I learned, and I use this as a teacher and as a parent, and I don't know where it came from, but it has saved me many times, is this too shall pass. And that gets me many moments when I would rather be doing something that I am. So anyway, and happy bucks, I got to see my granddaughter last week in Phoenix at a competition, and that was wonderful. So okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead. The draw card, thank you for drawing the card, is an 8 of diamonds. So our winner today is an 8 of diamonds. Yay! Awesome. Woo-hoo. All right, and with that, I am going to just give a little bit, and of course, it was kind of the same thing today. We all knew that we were going to be doing Shakespeare, so somewhere here in all these papers that get left here, myself included, is the one. Usually I just kind of go for something generic, and this is the generic thought of the day. Shakespeare has taught me there are more words in the English language than I have got in my head. And yes, that's very true. And then these are just some little quotes because a lot of them are very long and have lots of words, and I'm not sure I can say them right. So, silence is the perfect herald of joy, and beauty lives with kindness. And with that, I will send you off into your week. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you, since I won't be at the Peace Walk, but I hope all the rest of you will, next week.